हैंडल दैट प्रेशर वेल. हम बात करते हैं दोनों टीम्स पे इतना प्रेशर होता है, लेकिन इंडिया की टीम पे भी वही प्रेशर है, वो भी वही मैच खेल रहे हैं. फिर क्यों ऐसा होता है कि हमेशा पाकिस्तान ही उस प्रेशर में आके बेहतर परफॉर्म नहीं करता? इट्स ऑलवेज द ऑपोजिट. इंडिया मेक यूज ऑफ दैट प्रेशर एंड समहाउ देयर प्लेयर्स, that pressure brings out the best in India, but with Pakistan it's the opposite. ऐसा क्या psychologically है हमारे साथ? What's wrong with us psychologically that we cannot handle that pressure and use it to our advantage?
देखें, एक तो obviously एक hard breaker है for everyone as a fan of Pakistan cricket कि हम लोग one sport nation है, उसके बावजूद अगर इस खेल के साथ रिज़ल्ट अच्छे नहीं आएंगे तो हम बहुत बड़े फ़ैन क्लब को हम लोग उनके दिल तोड़ेंगे या उनकी नाराज़गी जायज़ है बिल्कुल, ये तो बात मानना पड़ेगी. अब देखें, आपका ये वाला सवाल जो मेंटल साइड को हिट करता है, जो मेंटल साइड है वो तब होती है जब आप आउट ऑफ कंफर्ट आके अपने आप को तैयार करते हो. हमेशा आपकी जो मेंटल टफनेस है दैट ओनली कैन गो दैट फार इफ़ यू कम आउट ऑफ योर कंफर्ट जोन. अगर आप अपने कंफर्ट जोन में अपनी मर्ज़ी से खेलना चाहते हैं, मर्ज़ी होगी तो खेल लूँगा, मर्ज़ी होगी तो नहीं खेलूँगा, अपने जोन में रह के खेलना चाहता हूँ, ये मेरा कंफर्ट जोन है, मैं अपना नंबर नहीं छोड़ूंगा, तो ये वो चीज़ें हैं जो अनफॉर्चुनेटली लीड करती हैं आपकी मेंटल वीकनेस की तरफ. कहने को बड़ा आसान है जी मैं मेंटल टफ हूँ. मेंटल टफ ये इंसान बैठा हुआ है मुश्किल हालात के अंदर. इसे मुझे बताएं 10,000 रन पाकिस्तान के या दुनिया के कितने लोगों ने किए हैं, तो क्या वो ऐसे ही हो गए थे? उसके लिए कोई मेंटली टफ होना ज़रूरी नहीं था. आसान सा खेल था. 2009 का वर्ल्ड कप इसने एज ए कप्तान जितवाया हुआ है, तो क्या वो ऐसे ही जीत गए थे? अंदर जाते थे मैच जीत के आते थे? नो, यू नीड टू बी अ मेंटल टफ. और वो कब आती है? जब आप आउट ऑफ कंफर्ट जाके अपने आप को ट्रेन करते हैं. सिंपल इज दैट.
Right, Martin, I'm going to loop you in now because we've talked about New Zealand's success rate in World Cups, you know, across the years and across formats. We've seen them go through semi-finals and finals in almost every edition. How does New Zealand cricket approach a big tournament in terms of preparation, and is it as systematic as it is across the world? Because we've seen that when they come and play in any condition, they're quick to adapt and they have those selections right, those combinations right, and somehow they're always prepared. What makes a team as prepared as they can be for a World Cup?
Well, I guess if I look back to the last two T20 World Cups in Dubai and in Australia, the one in Dubai, you know, we were meant to play a series here that got cancelled unfortunately, and then so we went off to Dubai and we started training there, and we had a couple of warm-up games as well. I think we had 3 warm-up games in 5 days, so everybody who was there got enough game time in before the tournament started. We started well. We beat India in our first game, so we were off to a really good start. And then the last T20 World Cup in Australia, we had a tri-series against Pakistan and Bangladesh at home. And that was our preparation. We had a few days training, got into that tournament, played that. I think Pakistan ended up winning it. And then we went over to Australia, had a couple of warm-up games again. So we had 5 T20 games before that last T20 World Cup, and we went right through to the final in both of those tournaments. So, we lost to Pakistan in the last one in the semi-final, but we got through. We got through to the knockout stages because we were well prepared. This time round, completely different story. No warm-up games. Not much cricket beforehand for any of the guys playing together or anything like that. A lot of the guys didn't play much at the IPL, so it just seems like everybody was underdone. They had a couple of training camps back home under marquees because obviously the weather's not good enough to train outside. So it just seemed like everything was a little bit underdone, and it just showed in the way that they went out there and performed. They just weren't up to scratch, were slow starting, and just could never find any sort of rhythm or anything like that. Take away last night's win, and it's pretty tough to watch and tough to look at those first 2 results.
Yeah, and Yunus Bhai, just before we do go to a short break here, just wondering, off what Martin's just said, it's about time together, consistency, clarity in your role, and hopefully clarity from the higher ups as well. Consistency and stability. Feels like maybe Pakistan didn't have a lot of that.
And one more point you can add that, what is the playing 11?
Exactly.
So before that, for this World Cup, New Zealand will know that what is their playing 11, or maybe that 12. What is the 12 side for them? So maybe one or two change. But before this World Cup, they were just came and they have not enough time to gather to, and they never know that what is the our playing 11. Same like with Pakistan. So that is these kind of, that these are small points, but the outcome should be like this.
Absolutely.
So I think that these little things you have to be you have to be on the spot on the first day, and then the result be on your way. So I think these kind of things sometimes hurt your team, sometimes hurt your feelings, sometimes hurt your all areas.
And hindsight is a beautiful thing, of course, but looking at the squad as we see now, looking at the performances Pakistan have put on the board, do you feel like the squad was the strongest 15 playing that we could have had? Or do you feel like now, given the conditions in the Caribbean and of course in America, perhaps the squad should have looked a little different? Were they lacking anything in that 15-man squad?
The spinners, for me, the keys are that middle phase. You have to be spot on with your middle orders, batters, and same goes to the spinners. Because we know that we from first day we are pointed that middle phase is very crucial for when you batting or when you bowling. So I think that middle phase we are struggling with that. In our team we have 5 openers, we have 3 wicket keepers. So how can you justify with that?
Missing that impetus through the middle as well, Hafeez, looking for someone to come out and break the back of these run chasers. If we have a look back at Pakistan's games, I think it's fair to say the bowlers were good. The bowlers were solid and on song. They kept the totals to smaller margins, just couldn't chase down those totals. The runs were just not there. Sometimes maybe it just felt like no one was willing to be brave and come and break the back of these run chasers a little bit earlier. We've spoken about where to bat the likes of Hafeez Analysis because he is an aggressive batsman, which given the time...
And it's so frustrating, as you've been saying about the batting, the margins of our losses have been so low that, it brings into question a lot of the top order batters, as Yunus himself said, 5 openers, but still you're losing games on the back of those last few 10,
how can you justify
5, 6, 10
with
runs?
Usman Khan? He is an opener batter. Sometimes he plays number 3, sometimes he plays number 4, sometimes number 6. So how can we justify with that? It is wrong with that kid too.
And he also doesn't have the international experience as well, as we've said. He's been brought in from doing well in the PSL.
That'll mess with his mental state.
No, he not perform. What will be his future with the team?
Well, Marty,
asking
an opener to bat at 4, 5, 6, as you said, at clarity of role, it's a different game, isn't it?
100%. I mean, I've batted everywhere from 1 to 7, I think, in my T20 career for New Zealand, and you just don't really know. Well, for me, I didn't really understand what I was meant to do in those different roles, batting sort of 5, 6, 7. It's completely different to batting up top. You can get away, those little ones you don't quite get out in the middle. The field's up,
so
it
you
still
get
goes
away with
for 4.
it.
You have that little time to settle down yourself, your nerves. So
those mistimed shots actually get you going, and then you find that your sweet spot, and then you start going. But then if, as an opener, you're coming down the middle order, it's a completely different game. Those shots, you get one, and then you don't quite hit the gap, and you get a dot, and then the pressure starts to build. It's tough to come out and just hit boundaries from ball 1 when you've just come to the wicket. So there just needs to be a little bit more clarity, I think, with around selections and what they want people to do in that batting order. Because no doubt they've got the talent. It's all there. Absolutely
so
got the talent. It's just how they're using that talent, and I hope for Pakistan's sake that they keep Gary on for a long time and give him enough opportunity to make use of that talent and get the best out of them.
And especially in these 20s, you have not enough time. You will be just go and smash from the first ball. How can as an opener or as a middle order? How can you deal with that different kind of situation? So we should be clear about yourself first, and then your supporting staff must be know what kind of player you are, where and it also goes to the team captain too. He should knows in certainly situation what kind of bowler or what kind of batsman he can talk with him and he can do job for your team.
Yeah.
So these are sometimes these little points is so much crucial for you.
We've got a bit of data here that says India are at the top, just above Australia in terms of their win percentage
Tied first.
in World Cups. Yes, so it's almost tied. Looks like 78.72%. Both teams have this impeccable record, both in the T20 format and in the one-day format. What makes India so great when it comes to winning matches in these events? Because remember, they don't have a trophy to show for the last 10 years. And, as opposed to Australia, who have been winning that silverware consistently, what happens to India once they get to that mark where they just need to do one better than the last time?
Short answer is I actually have no idea why they don't win trophies. But and the first part about that is their record in World Cups and things like that, and big trophies, is they always seem to have a settled lineup. They've got such a well-balanced team, starting 11 first, and then they've got guys, the rest of the four non-players who can slot in and fill the roles when they're needed and need to be brought into the team. So they know how to set up a squad for a tournament, and the guys who are there playing have also always seem to come off the back of some decent form. And are flying when they come into the tournament. So they're always, there or thereabouts, always at the top. The same for Australia as well. Same records, I think it is, you said, Aaron. And they've also got that constant lineup of players who know how to get the job done.
And they have been playing together across
for a
formats.
long time. Across formats, exactly.
Yeah.
It's the same for both teams, really. The core of both teams play Test, ODI and T20 cricket together. So, there's no wonder that they just come together, get on so well and put the performances on the board.
It's all about bowling and batting in partnerships too, isn't it? You know that your mate at the other end, that's how they're going to bowl, this is what we're going to do, in which case it makes my role clear at the other end, and the same goes with the batting as well. If you play with each other a lot, you know each other's psyche, and something about the Aussie side, which we do have up over the Indians, is obviously the fact that we have managed to win the silverware. It's a big talking point that, yes, India are winning lots of matches, but they're not managing to get it done in the final to actually get that big win. And Australia, we don't win all the time, but we're losing games at the right time. There is a way to lose it. Well, no, if you look at the last World Cup, we started so poorly. Everyone thought that we were very much out of it. We lost the first couple of games and the whole country was in an absolute capitulation. We're not used to seeing it, but it was losing games and peaking at the right time, whereas India undefeated the entire tournament and then couldn't get it done in the final. Something about the Aussies, and it's so hard to quantify, gentlemen, but that ability to win when it matters most and to win those moments, because this game is all about the 1%ers, and we seem to choose the right 1%ers in the right games in order to win and do well. And talking about that, it comes down to experience, it comes down to playing together and learning how to deal with those pressurised moments and get the job done. So there's a really interesting point that I wanted to bring up, Hafeez, because I know we've spoken a lot about it on the show, and we talk about why India has been so successful is they do play a lot of first-class cricket together. But we've got a stat here that actually shows that the difference between the number of first-class matches that players in India versus players in Pakistan make is not actually that too much different. It's only about 30 games versus 37 games between Pakistan versus India. So I wonder what it is about India which make them a little bit better versed in dealing with conditions in all of these World Cups, make them a little bit better at big tournament play. What do you think you put it down to now if it looks at both playing equal amounts of first-class cricket?
I don't know at what stage this stat has been taken, because I know about one thing. A lot of Pakistani players playing in this World Cup, they haven't played any first-class cricket in the last 3-4 years. So I don't know what time they've taken these stats. So India, I don't know what they work, how they work at domestic level in India, but I'm sure about one thing, that they don't go anywhere to play any international league around the world.
These
they
are overall combined across years, these stats. That's what we've been told.
But if you talk about this team, how many years Shadab have taken not to play any not to play any domestic level? Babar never played any first class game in the last 3-4 years. Rizwan hardly played any. So if you will go, the main play, Shaheen, how many first class game he played in the last 2-3 years?
आप कह रहे हैं कि most
I'm talking
recent
about
stats we should have.
those vital pillars of the team, the main players of the side, because they never came back to domestic arena. So I personally feel, I don't know, one thing I want to say that the Pakistan Cricket Board need to make a policy. That's what, obviously, I don't want to say myself, but in my recommendation, there was one of the thing I mentioned, that Pakistan Cricket Board should make sure that all the central contracted players, if they are not playing international cricket, they have to play domestic cricket. And in those 5 months or 4 months, whatever the season of Pakistan domestic cricket is, no domestic contracted player and no international central contracted player should go and play anywhere in the league. So they should stay within the circuit. If they are playing international cricket, good enough. If you're not playing international cricket, you need to go back and play domestic cricket. And what it does, it basically encourage the youngsters to inspire from you, and also you also polish your skills accordingly. So you play that kind of a cricket which obviously give you better chance to perform in any different conditions. So that is a missing part in this team at the moment. Most of the international players who are representing Pakistan in this ICC event, they are not playing domestic cricket frequently. Every time you ask them to go and play domestic cricket, either it's a first class game or something, they come up with the excuse, or they will come up with the report of the physio that this guy need a workload management. That workload management never come across when you are going to play international league around the world. I never seen any report from the physio given to that particular player that this guy should not play international league at this period of time. He has to rest himself. But when it comes to represent, come back into the domestic arena, there's always a report in front of you by the sign of a physio or someone that this guy need a break at the moment. So this is unfortunate scenario. I witnessed that, and I noticed these things, and I convey to Pakistan Cricket Board to make sure stop these things happening in future. If we will never stop that, this result to me was written on the wall, because unfortunately, when you start thinking like you know everything, when you start thinking like we don't need any help from anyone, your batting coach, your fielding coach, whoever is telling you something, if you think you are above the game, unfortunately you never.
And it's so incredibly important, isn't it, Yunus, what happens at a domestic level. Not only is it a chance to go back and work on skills or any deficiencies you pick up in your game, particularly when there is so much cricket on now, and sometimes there isn't a lot of time to actually go back and work on your game, but you're inspiring the youth and grassroots cricket level, but you're also testing your talent against the people coming through as well. How else can Pakistan know where people are actually at unless we're seeing them in the context of cricket? Always knew that the contest, the rivalry it's bigger than Ben-Hur, right? It's the thing everyone looks forward to, but it truly was the loss against the USA that's hurt them. They're the ones that are in the Super 8 now instead of Pakistan. How are you feeling as well? You've asked me how I'm feeling, but how are you taking this loss? I know how passionate you are about Pakistan cricket, and I've seen your look at your face, sort of give you a hug. I know how much you feel this as a true lover and follower, and obviously a presenter of Pakistan cricket. So how are you going, and what have you put it down to?
I think, first of all, in every World Cup, whenever Pakistan is playing at that stage, you are sort of always prepared for things to go wrong, because there's no doubt about the level of brilliance that each of these players possess. And as Martin said, they weren't just good enough, but on paper, I think they have what it takes. And I think as a fan, keeping, of course, my professionalism and all of that neutrality on the side just for a second, I think it's a bit frustrating as fans to see that the potential, as you said, is there, but just not being able to translate that onto the field. I think that's how I would describe how I'm feeling right now. But from what Yunus said, Hafeez, coming to you with that, I have a follow-up question, and I would love to hear your opinion on it as well. We talk about the India match, and we talk about pressure and how Pakistan somehow weren't able to, handle